My college football playoff predictions for week 13 did change significantly from my week 12 predictions, impacted from Alabama's loss to Oklahoma, a stunning Oklahoma victory on the road, which I think was Brent Venables' best win of his career outside of maybe 2023 against Texas, and Georgia's drubbing of Texas and Steve Sarkisian, among some other developments. So let's take a look at the college football playoff bracket here. And obviously, 12 total teams participate. The five highest ranked conference champions, including a group of five champion, is invited, the highest ranked G5 champion. And then you have four first round games with four home teams, four away teams. Then from the quarterfinals onward, games on a neutral field played in New Year's Six bowls. In the first round, seeds 4 through 12, I have James Madison reaching the college football playoff. I know their schedule's very weak, but if they continue to win, I believe that they will get in. At the 11th seed, I have a 10-3 Alabama that wins out in the regular season, but then loses in the SEC championship game. At the 10 seed, I have ACC champion Georgia Tech with an 11-2 record, losing to Georgia, but winning the ACC and winning every other game outside of that Georgia game and getting in as the 10 seed. You have at 9 a 10-2 Notre Dame, and at 8th a 10-2 Oklahoma. 7 and 6 you have 11-1 SEC teams, Texas A&M, who I think will lose to Texas, and Ole Miss, who I believe wins out. And then at the 5th seed we have 11-1 Oregon, who I also believe wins out. For the first round buys, mostly conference champions or conference championship game participants, I have Texas Tech occupying the 4th seed and getting the Cotton Bowl, 12-1 record, winning the Big 12. I'm pretty sure I have them beating BYU, but if BYU loses to Cincinnati, that's where things begin to get a little bit tricky. And we'll talk about that in a BYU versus Cincinnati preview and prediction. It'll be BYU or Utah. Pretty unsure. As for the 3rd seed, I have Ohio State winning out, beating Michigan, losing to Indiana in the Big Ten championship game. They'll be awarded with the Orange Bowl. 2nd, I have Georgia winning the SEC, going 12-1, winning out. And for Indiana, well, they just have Purdue left on the schedule. They have a bye. They're off this weekend. Have them upsetting Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. How I believe this pans out, we'll talk about. But before that, I want to discuss some teams who barely missed and who have an opportunity to bust my playoff predictions. So, Texas at 9-3, if some more chaos occurs, say Alabama loses to Auburn, which I think is more likely than a lot of people believe, they could get left out, enter in 9-3 Texas. James Madison or any of these G5 teams can lose on any given Saturday. So that could be busted. Oregon could lose to one of Washington or USC. That's a tough 2-game stretch. A 10-2 Oregon gets in, but they do not get a home game. Oklahoma, based on style of play, could lose to one of Missouri or LSU. I think due to the head-to-head loss to Texas and power ratings, they'd be kept out. They'd have a lot go their way to get in 9-3. I think a 9-3 Texas gets in over a 9-3 Oklahoma. 9-3 Alabama gets left out. Ohio State, I think they're a lock to get the first round bye, even if Michigan beats them, and therefore they're 11-1 and miss the Big Ten championship game. They have been ranked number 1 for so long, and they beat Texas, and they've been dominant and are highly ranked or rated in power ratings. Michigan has a better shot of beating the Buckeyes than a lot of people believe, similar with Auburn over Alabama. The difference is Ohio State's undefeated right now, and Alabama has 2 losses. And Ohio State's number 1 by quite a wide margin. So if they lose to a Michigan team that will either be 8-3 or 9-2, and therefore will win 9 or 10 regular season games if they beat Ohio State, and 10 if they beat Maryland this Saturday, that's not a bad loss. So I don't think they'd be dropped all that far. It would change things, though, because a 10-2 Michigan will get into the playoffs with a win over Ohio State and playing an Oklahoma team that more likely than not is also going to the college football playoff. 10-2 Michigan is more secure than some of these teams we're discussing as teams that just missed. This channel will make you a college football expert and help you enjoy watching games and make more accurate predictions. So what are you waiting for? Like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment your thoughts, and watch the video all the way through so that you can get the full package. And check the description and pinned comment for more ways to help yourself and this channel. BYU is a team that if they go 11-2, maybe they make it. Utah's ranked high enough to where if they win out at 10-2, even if they miss the Big 12 title game, do they get in as the 11th seed, for example, or the 10 seed? They shouldn't, but maybe they could. And as we get closer to Selection Sunday, my playoff bracket is trying to mirror what I'm seeing the committee rank and seed the playoff bracket based on. So let's get to the quarterfinals. For the quarterfinals, I have Oregon, Oklahoma, Alabama, and Texas A&M winning. These matchups are interesting, not just in the first round outside of JMU versus Oregon, but Oklahoma, Indiana, Oregon, Texas Tech, Alabama, Ohio State, and Texas A&M, Georgia are very intriguing matchups. No one here would be favored by more than a touchdown, if not more than a field goal over each other. The highest point spreads, I believe, would be Ohio State over Alabama and Indiana over Oklahoma. But Oregon, Texas Tech would be tight. Same thing with Texas A&M and Georgia. But some teams have to lose, some teams have to win. And I think that your teams that have the higher power ratings, my top four teams are Georgia, Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon in that order. I'm picking the teams with the higher power rating to win. So I believe Oregon beats Texas Tech, Indiana beats Oklahoma, Ohio State beats Alabama, Georgia beats Texas A&M. Indiana, Oregon play in the Fiesta Bowl, Ohio State and Georgia play in the Peach Bowl. The game that I'd be the least confident about here would be Texas Tech, Oregon. I think that game could go either way. But I expect Oregon to be healthy in the playoffs, doing a bit of projection here. So I think they would win that game, and I also think they're better than Texas Tech. It's also going to go the same for the semifinals, where I'm going to pick who I have power rated higher to win. And as of right now, that's Indiana over Oregon, and that is Georgia over Ohio State, though I can really see these games going either way. I could see any of these teams winning at all. I think these are going to be the four teams where the national championship comes from: Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State, and Indiana. It's going to be from one of those four. There are some teams who could bust that: Notre Dame, Alabama, and Texas Tech. Those are the other three that I think could bust that top four and win it all. Those are the 7 teams who I think have a decent shot to win it all. There's other teams that have a sliver of a chance, but those 7, I think, probably make up 90% of odds to win the national championship, make up like 90% of that group's chances. And for the champion, I am thinking that as of right now, Georgia, with that win over Texas and with the fact that they are peaking against Texas, it felt like they began to figure out some defense, and Stockton's been playing incredibly well. I believe that it's going to be one of these 4 teams, and with Georgia at number 1 in my power ratings, I'm just rolling with who I think is the best team in the country right now, and that's the Georgia Bulldogs. A week ago, it was Ohio State. At one point, I thought that Indiana to end the year would be the best team, and I picked them to win it all. I've picked Oregon to win it all in prior brackets, and at the start of the year, it was Penn State. This is one of the more exciting like seasons that I can remember, and it's very close at the top. So I'm going to roll with Kirby Smart, Ryan Day, Kurt Signetti, Dan Lanning, some of the better coaches and better teams, obviously, to win it all. And as of this week, it's going to be Georgia. This will probably be wrong. Let me know what you think of this bracket down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. It's my mission on College Football with Sam to make you the most informed, knowledgeable, and entertained fan as possible. We aren't perfect, but we hit the nail on the head more often than we hit our thumb with the hammer. Make sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment, and if you're here, you've probably already watched the whole video. So thank you for doing those things.